Birds just went silent. These ones over here, they pitched down to the valley, and I think they just went that way. There was one goblin up on this mountain over here. They all have hens. They have a lot of hens. Way too many hens. Just right there. We're gonna move up the ridge. There was one bird gobbling up here. The rest are over here. That's the flock we set up on originally. One just gobbled over there. We're gonna set up right here. It is so stinking cold. What the heck? We would be able to see them. Alright, well, pretty much gave up on that setup. We came over here. We just located like 2 or 3 gobblers right across on that ridge. So we're gonna cut our way down to the road and we're gonna go and try to set up on that bird over there.
What happened to you?
I was gonna put a second shot in.
Did they see you?
Yeah. They saw me draw.
I don't even understand what's going on.
We screwed up big time. I can't believe it. Can't believe we screwed that up. David and I, we were on the ridge across from here. We let out 2 crow calls. We had this guy over here gobble. So we came in here, we set up, and sure enough, he gobbled. And there was 2 down here that gobbled. Those are the 2 that came up. Came up on a string. Had no hens. Our decoys were set up perfect. And David was gonna try to get him with a bow. I don't know what happened on his first shot, but I just saw the arrow fling up into the sky. And I was like, what the heck? They gobbled. And then put my gun up. I had some brush to shoot through. I shot, and that was actually a little further than I thought. We only have a morning hunt today, so realistically, that's all we needed. That should have been a dead bird. I thought that David's arrow was gonna knock one down. I was gonna stand up and shoot the second one, and we would pull a double, but sometimes you ask for a little too much and you come back with nothing. I sat here because I didn't plan to shoot at all. That's why I didn't really care. I wanted that bush right here to kind of cover me up, which I think actually helped. The strutter, the dominant bird, you could tell he was coming in and he was just focused on the hens. But the subordinate Tom, you could tell he was a little bit more cautious coming in. David sat right here first. David's spot was good, but then David was afraid. We were afraid that they were gonna come on this route over here. You guys can't see it, but they actually came down here. So from where David actually shot from, David basically had a bunch of brush covering him, so it's okay. We don't bow hunt turkeys very often, so I guess considering that we actually got a shot off, I'll consider that a success. Time to pack up.
We're on our way back.
Oh, he's still calling. Dude, that guy's coming in. He's coming in, dude. I'm not sure how good of a footage I got. It was just on the tripod. We're still calling them in. I don't know, like bow hunting turkeys is pretty dang hard, especially if you're kind of like a run and gun style like we're doing. The gobbles, that bird's still gobbling like crazy. But how we're doing is we're just kind of run and gun, so we just kind of find a random spot to sit up. No blind, no nothing. Just hope that you draw and get to shoot them in time. But we can't complain, man. We shot 2 arrows. That would have been the 3rd arrow. The pursuit is fun. Calling that bird off that mountain straight down to the bottom of the creek, straight up this side, came running in. Spent a little bit of time meeting our decoys. Whenever people talk to me who never turkey hunted before, they're always like, dude, turkeys look so dumb. So yeah, they look dumb, but they sure ain't dumb. They're pretty dang smart. They're probably one of the smartest birds we hunt, without a doubt. But well, at least we know these things work. Oh well, that's fun. I think we're gonna call it a day. Lots of opportunities today, just couldn't capitalize. I basically let David have this turkey. I just went and sat over this little pine over here, and yeah, we're gonna pack up. We're gonna go. I think right now it's like what? Time to leave.
Yeah, we can still
9:11. It's 9:11. Who knows? We still have to work all the way back to the car, which is like a 4-mile hike. So who knows? We might run into some more birds over there. All right. Well, once again, here we are in the final segment of the turkey video. So once again, I'm just gonna recap what happened on this hunt. We got a lot of setups to cover. So without further ado, let's just jump into it. So once again, it's David and myself. David's going in with the bow. I'm going in with the shotgun. And so since David's going with the bow, the main purpose of this trip was to let David shoot one with the bow. We left the car like, I don't know, 4 o'clock in that morning, but the hike over to where the birds were roosted actually took a lot longer than what we anticipated. So on this hunt, David actually went in the evening before, and David went and he actually roosted these birds. So he actually knew where these birds were roosted exactly. He saw the birds in the tree pretty much. And so where they were roosted, there's a ridge in between where they were and where we would eventually set up. And that ridge is actually the ridge that David and we were trying to get to before first light. But the thing is, when we got to the road, the birds, they were already gobbling, and then there was already too much daylight. So pretty much if we were to walk up to that ridge, the turkeys would obviously see us already. So we just stayed back. We set up on the road. That's what you guys saw. We set up on the road, and the turkeys eventually, they just pitched down into the valley and they just started working up the mountain. And so since the turkeys are now on the ground on the other side of the ridge, David and we packed up and we headed up that ridge that we initially planned to set up on. And that's where our first actual setup happened. So we started calling, and these birds pretty much, they came within, I don't know, 50 yards of where we were. But the thing is, they were just on the other side of the ridge, so we never saw them, but we could hear them drumming and spitting and gobbling. And the thing with them is, this flock of birds clearly has been pressured and hunted this season before, because this flock right here, they actually originally roost pretty close to the car. But the thing is, as people hunt them, they slowly get pushed deeper and deeper into this piece of public property. And so when David and we actually went in, they were about 4 miles in. They also get decoy shy. So meaning that even if they see a decoy, they'll just look at your decoy. After a while, they figure out that, oh, that's just a decoy. That's not a real turkey. They just turn around and go the other way. The thing with these turkeys is they never saw the decoy. What they did was they just knew not to expose themselves and get shot. They're smart enough to know that, hey, if there's a decoy over there and we go over there, well, there's a chance that we might get shot. Turkeys do know that. So a lot of times what these pressured birds will do, they'll just keep gobbling. And what they're trying to do is they're saying, hey, I know you're a hen over there. I want you to show yourself to me first. If they see that hen or that decoy, sometimes they'll come in. But majority of the time, that gobbler is just going to say, well, if you want to come over to me, you can just come over to me. These birds basically came right beside me, and they eventually looped to the ridge across. And if you guys look at the footage, every time we call, like almost every time, they gobbled at our call. But where we set up, the decoys were still too far on our side of the ridge. So even when they went high on the other ridge, they still couldn't see the decoys. They will kind of poke up their heads and they would just try to find where the hen is, or in our case, where our decoys were. They're smart, so they just said, nope, I'm not coming over. And they headed up the ridge. And so that was that hunt. Not much action, just a lot of calling. After that first setup, we went back down to the main road. And we crow called, and we had like 2 or 3 gobblers across on the other ridge
gobble. And so David and I, we worked around to the other side. So we had one bird that we went and specifically set up on. But when we got over there, tons of birds all around us just started gobbling. And so at that point, we kind of neglected the original bird we set up on, and we just said, well, we're just going to set up on whichever bird comes in first. I'll show you guys on a map. So here's kind of where the original bird is coming from. But when we set up and we started calling, there's actually 2 birds below us that started gobbling like crazy. And sure enough, within like minutes of just calling, they already showed themselves. That's why I didn't get much footage of just trying to set up, because they came in so fast that when I was ready to go, the turkeys were pretty much already in sight. That's how fast it happened. And so long story short, these two strutters came in and they saw the decoys. They gobbled pretty hard. So here's where I'm sitting. Here's where David's sitting. Here's our decoys. And here's how the turkeys are coming up, the 2 gobblers. And long story short, David shot, and David's arrow hit this little limb and just costed the arrow to fly out into outer space. That's why his arrow just, when I saw the arrow, I just saw the arrow fling up into the sky. And then at that point, I myself, since I had a shotgun, I was like, well, I guess it's my turn to shoot. So David was actually slowly knocking his second arrow in. The 2 turkeys, they started kind of walking away. And I had my shotgun, so I kind of leaned up. I had a lot of brush in front of me, but I thought that they were only about 20 yards away. That's why I was like, even if there's brush, I think I can still make the shot. Well, it turns out they were actually 35 yards. The reason why it was so deceiving was because the whole time I was looking inside my camera screen. And so in my camera screen, they looked pretty close. And when they were gobbling, they sounded pretty close too. And so once again, I thought it was 20, but they were actually 35. So when I shot, pretty much nothing happened. The bird I shot at, he just jumped. And then he ran one way, and then the other bird, the dominant bird, he ran off the other way. And then, you know, I was just recapping the hunt to the camera. And then when I was recapping, we were kind of packing up. The original bird that we set up on, he actually gobbled just straight across from us, probably no more than like 150 yards. And from where he originally was, it was obvious that he was coming in. And so I was like, dude, David, this bird is coming in. And so we scrambled and we set up again. And keep in mind, we're literally in the same exact spots. I'm sitting right where I was sitting for the first 2 birds, and David's sitting pretty much like 5 yards away from where he was sitting on the first setup. There's actually a 4-wheeler where we put our decoys, and so we thought when he was on the ridge, he had a direct line of sight to come straight into our decoys. That's why we sat where we sat, because, well, it's almost picture perfect if he came in on the road. And instead of taking that 4-wheeler and coming straight to us, he kind of looped around. He basically walked right into David's lap. So the turkey actually never saw David draw. It was so close that right when the turkey popped out, the turkey already saw that something wasn't right. And so the turkey kind of started walking away, and David had one little opening. And so what David said happened was his arrow was just barely behind the turkey. While all of that was happening, there was another gobbler over the ridge. We're like, well, we have some time to maybe go up this ridge and maybe call in this gobbler, because this guy, he was gobbling his head off, so he was pretty hot. And so sure enough, we get on top of the ridge. This bird is just hammering us. I didn't record a lot because the batteries were gonna die for my camera. I'm sitting up on top of the ridge, David's sitting below me, and I started calling, and the bird is actually working towards me. If the bird came towards me, David wouldn't have a shot. And so what I did was I looped around and sat behind David. That way, now the turkey, if he were to come in, he would come to the decoys and to David. Long story short, that's exactly what happened. But the thing is, right when the turkey got to the road that we were just pretty much set up on, he gobbled once. And at this time, he was still pretty far away. And so David didn't really expect anything. The turkey, he pretty much came running in. He came in so fast that the moment he popped out, David and myself were so unaware that David wasn't even ready to draw the bow. And so that's kind of where we screwed up, because we didn't expect that bird to just come running in like that. And so sure enough, the turkey, as soon as he pops out, he sees the 2 decoys, he starts coming in, he starts showing off to all the decoys. We kind of just sat there for, you know, a good amount of time. The turkey, he's just kind of strutting around. David let the turkey turn completely around, and David drew, and he didn't see David, but when David drew, David's arm hit a branch, and that branch made a noise. I think that's when he caught David, and he pretty much just booked it right across the mountain to where he came from. That was this hunt. We had a lot of encounters. We just couldn't get it done, you know. It's these hunts where it makes the best memories. It's not necessarily where you have to kill something to make memories, but a lot of times these hunts where you make a lot of those, in a way, comedic mistakes, these hunts are the hunts that stick with you for a long time. So David and I, we had a good time out there. This was episode 3. That's pretty much what happened. And so hope you guys enjoyed this video. Episode 4 is going to come out soon. You already know we'll be back out there trying to chase some redemption birds with the bow. So thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.